What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Today, we've got more and more nonsense to talk about when it comes to the Mercado, about who Juventus could try to get to fill that role in the striker position, a position that's really of dire need as of late, but are they actually going to spend the money to try to get somebody in the here and now, or is this all just a game until we're waiting until the summer? Stick with us, we'll fill you in now. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it is Wednesday, December 29th, 2021, and of course I have your latest rundown of all things Juventus. Before we do anything though, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already joined our channel, and of course hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. If you haven't as well, make sure you follow us at all of our social media accounts at the Bianconeri Zone, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff, as well as if you want to follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter. Let's just go ahead and jump into it now. The very first news story of the day seems to be the one about Scamacca, and it's Romeo Agresti talking about him, saying that Juventus are evaluating the opportunity to strengthen the attack, but they are doing so only with the formula of a loan. Without an obligation, Scamacca is appreciated by the management and Allegri. Sassuolo currently value him around 40 million euros. Sassuolo don't want to let him go this winter. The Nero Verdi don't need money this winter, so it's hard to think that Juve will spend this money this winter. My personal opinion on this stuff is I'm starting to get more and more of a feeling that all this, not that it's nonsense, because it's not nonsense. If Romeo Agresti is willing to talk about it and say that Scamacca is an option for Juventus, then it's not nonsense. But I think some of the storylines, some of the contrived narratives that are starting to come out of here, I'm starting to, this is just my personal opinion. Let's run that across the screen or whatever we have to say, that, my opinions are not all encompassing when it comes to Bianconerism, but I'm starting to think that literally when it comes to the player of Scamacca, that a lot of it has to do with Gazzetta dello Sport literally creating a narrative so that way they can move this storyline down the road. I don't know if you noticed, but each day there's been a new post or a new headline story about Scamacca. Today's is, of course, about how Inter is getting involved and how that now they want it. I think they wanted to start doing it by making it a Juve story, talking about Juve, building up this Juve tension, and then, we're going to do Wednesday, let's throw in Inter. Who knows where they're going to have by the end of the week? By the end of the week, it may be Scamacca to Inter, and that's going to be the story that they really have. I don't know. I just think it's kind of nonsense right now. Until we hear anything more concrete and definite, I'll stay reserved when it comes to anybody that Juventus will bring in. I just want to be clear too. My personal opinions have been, in the long run, I'm just reading these news reports and giving you my ideas on these news reports. That's what we do here. My personal opinion still kind of remains unfortunate that I think Juventus really just doesn't bring anybody in during this January Mercado, which will be unfortunate for the way the season could play out, but we'll see if anything changes. Anyway, that's the latest we have when it comes to Scamacca. Next up, we got to talk about Romeo Agresti was also commenting, saying, I am convinced that if it wasn't for the Africa Cup of Nations, Aubameyang would have become a very hot name for Juventus. That's just Juventus being Juventus, right? I don't know. My personal opinion, though, when it comes to Aubameyang, if I would have been, positive on him coming to Juventus or not, because he goes against a lot of the things that I have, I don't want to say preached on, but you know what I mean, I've been against when it comes to Juventus adding players. He's 32 years old, but he is a striker. He's a solid enough striker in that position at his age. Personally, I still would say no, just because any kind of deal you're going to get done, it's more than likely not just going to be a dry loan without any kind of, handcuffing to the player at all. You're going to have to buy him. You're going to do whatever because they're going to try to sell him. So as it stands right now, I'm still pretty solid in saying no thank you. I've definitely been saying no thank you from the beginning when it came to this player. But I tried to think about, would this be a useful one for 6 months? Would it be? I don't know. I can tell you right now, everybody else probably just say flat out no. But I'm trying to think, would anybody be useful for 6 months? All right, let's move it on. Next one up, let's talk about some strikers. We definitely don't need Juventus attaching ourselves to an old player. Anyway, continued on Sky Sport Italia, Juventus will try to give Allegri a forward in January. Every possible opportunity will be carefully evaluated, and a deal could be materialized even in the last day of the market. This to me is the epitome of Juventus right here. It's just saying anything could happen. Anything. We don't know. We'll see what happens. If the pieces fall or whatever into place, then we can do something. If we sell players, then maybe we can do something. It's never like a guarantee of like, oh, Juventus is making a move for bleep. You know what I mean? Like, or there's always these stupid little mind games that happen throughout this process. I'm not a fan of it personally, but that's really the way a lot of business deals get done, unfortunately. We'll see. I mean, this leaves it open to be like it could be anybody. Anybody's name could pop up at the last second, and Juventus could tie themselves to a player for 6 months, and then maybe move on in in June, and actually look for Vlahovic, maybe Scamacca. Then, this report doesn't give you much. So anyway, let's move it on. Let's talk about AS reporting saying, here we are. It's the story that keeps on giving to me because I'm not a fan of it. Juventus are looking at Milik. However, Marseille wants around 10 million euros. I wouldn't give him 5 million euros. That's the end of all I want to say when it comes to Milik. I felt like I should have been done talking about Milik 2 years ago, years before this channel even existed. I'm a hard no on Milik. That's it. Hard no, pass. Milik is not Juve quality. Let's move on. Then we could talk about a little bit of Dejan Kulusevski. La Stampa is reporting that Antonio Conte continues to look at Juve to reinforce his Tottenham side. He would like Dejan Kulusevski at all costs. Dejan is not untouchable, although the club is counting on him for the future. Only a good offer could change Juve's mind. We talked about this before, that, I think an offer around 35 million euros or so would really be enough to really get Kulusevski from Juventus. As we know, everybody's going cheap right now. I don't see anybody paying that at the current time, especially during the January Mercado. I could be wrong. We'll see if Conte uses some of that Premier League money and actually gets him. But as it stands right now, I don't think he's going. He's one of the options, though. McKennie, whatever, that may be a little bit more appealing, obviously, than the Rabios, Ramses, Bendenkers, all that stuff that we have currently going on. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see. What are your thoughts when it comes to Dejan Kulusevski? Would you rather keep him? I know Julian Genotti would rather keep him, but as it stands right now, he may be one of our few options there to actually make some money off of and try to put that toward a better player in the long run for a different position. All right. Let's move on to talk about this. We've back on this story that we talked about a long time ago. It feels like El Tiempo is reporting that Juventus, Roma, and United are the clubs on the trail of Boubacar Kamara, a French defender and midfielder from Marseille. The player's contract expires at the end of the season, but the French club would like to put him on the market to try and make some money. This is an option that I'm open to if I'm Juventus. Especially because it helps at two positions. If you need to utilize him in those two positions, he seems like a decent enough player. Couldn't be much worse than what you have currently. But I just wonder how much money they would be really trying to get from him, especially as they say his contract expires at the end of the season. It'll be interesting to really see what they really do if they maybe try to put him up there in January if Juventus makes a move. But again, Juventus has to make money to spend money, and Ramsey isn't going to be making any money for Juventus, so maybe you'd have to look at a Weston McKennie. Again, I'm repeating myself at this point. Kulusevski, all that stuff we talk about day in and day out, one of those players would have to be sold, really, to probably bring him in. All right, and then let's wrap it up with, of course, Paulo Dybala and his situation. Gazzetta dello Sport's reporting that Juve at the moment, would like to rethink the figures previously discussed with Dybala. The offer would be a 3-year deal at the same wage, 10 million euros per season. The end of February is the deadline. So really, it's more just you're cutting the length of how long you're really tying yourself to Dybala, an injured player, should anything terrible happen, which right now as it stands, I'm not going to repeat myself, the meetings, but also, and I just did, but also when it comes to this player, what happens if he's not even fit to play, a year and a half from now, and then you're stuck with this player, you know what I mean? So good move from Juventus trying to cut it down. I agree with it. Will it really sit well with Dybala? Will it sit well with his agent? Will he be understandable in the situation? We'll have to see. I think there is also something to be said, though, of putting your faith and putting your trust in a player, especially like Dybala, who in this circumstance has been with you for quite a while. So I kind of wonder what those personal feelings are of like, hey, I've done this, haven't I earned that from you? I wonder what those feelings are for Dybala personally, and then with the other players that are involved in this, when they look at it. Though I think we've seen one thing when it comes to Juventus, that they spent way too much money on players who can't play, who just sit in J Medical all the time, and no matter who you are, if you're Dybala, if you're I don't want to just call it bad players. Dybala's not a bad player, but I want to say, okay, if you're Messi, you're not doing us any good if we're just pouring money into you for an extended period of time in the long run. So anyway, that's the way it sits right now. It looks like Dybala potentially could re-sign for a 3-year deal. Will he actually accept it? We'll find out here in the short-coming. Well, actually, let's not kid ourselves. It could be months. It could be months. I don't know why I was going to say short-coming weeks. It could be months before we really know. And he could just sign somewhere else. Anyway, guys, that's all the news I really have for you today. I appreciate you for tuning in. As always, make sure you please hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow, as well as hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. We'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve. Forza Bianconeri.